With smartphones and wireless internet, access to porn has never been easier for young people. In fact, many use it to teach themselves about sex. But experts say early exposure to porn can rewire young people's brains, distorting their views of sexual behavior.
An upcoming episode of CBSN Originals, Speaking Frankly, looks at pornography's impacts on young minds and how educators are beginning to create curriculums to address them.
Even though people are supposed to be 18 years old before they see sexually explicit material on the internet, we all know that that doesn't happen consistently.
I distinctly remember being like 11 years old on Pornhub watching porn.
It's just, hey, are you 18? Check a box, and then there you go.
I know we like to say, well, pornography is not for education. It's not meant for that. It's meant for entertainment. But guess what, people? The kids out there don't know that.
In mainstream online pornography, women are more likely to be shown in a subservient position. Men are more likely to be shown in a dominant position. And so, if you're seeing that, does that make you accustomed to that? Could that reinforce particular gender norms?
I kind of used porn as my best tool to figure out how to pleasure someone sexually. Like me getting on top of her and holding her down and doing all this stuff that I had seen and was just trying to implement.
So you might not like being choked and you might not like your hair being pulled, but because that's the norm and that's what teenage boys and teenage girls are consuming, it might pressure young kids into being like, oh, I like that too, and they may not.
Well, CBSN Originals senior producer Christina Capatides joins us now to talk about this. So this is really, really fascinating, and I think it's something that many of us have wondered. We've sort of grown up, us that are a little bit older, we've grown up with the internet and with the evolution of porn on the internet. But we're talking about little kids that are being introduced to it now, when it's so prevalent. What did you learn about the impact that pornography is having on young brains?
Right, well, as of this December, 6 of the top 50 websites in the world were porn sites. And Pornhub, which is the most popular among them, has more traffic than Amazon, Netflix, and Instagram.
Wow.
Upwards of 80 million visitors a day, many of whom are young kids, whether we like to admit it or not. And when you couple that with the reality of sex education in this country, you end up with a pretty problematic situation. So 37 of the 50 states in America only teach abstinence. So for the vast majority of teens in this country, if they want any information about sexual acts and they're not getting that in school from trained professionals, they're turning to online porn to learn what sex is. And what they're finding there is the reality of what online porn is today. It's these videos of a lot of violence, sexism, racism, a lot of aggression, both verbal and physical, and they have no way of knowing that these are not normal. They end up thinking that these are the norms.
Yeah, and it's sex out of the context of a relationship or any sort of interaction. When you talk about Pornhub, it's sort of one scene after the other after the other.
Right, there's a formula they hit. A series of acts. There is no discussion about consent.
Yeah.
Most often there's no condom use. So they're missing a lot of the things that you would hope that teens would learn play into real life relationships, and they're just seeing these very sort of brutal, extreme acts.
So did you speak to medical professionals about the consequences of exposing children to images like this at such a young age?
Yeah, there are neurological ramifications in addition to social ones. So neurologically, studies have shown that watching porn too early literally rewires the brain, creating neural connections that otherwise wouldn't be there. And we know that porn is addictive, so the surge in dopamine that occurs as a result of watching porn means that you need greater and greater real-life sensations to match what you can so easily obtain online. So you're seeing a lot of consequences of that. The CDC noted that there was a rise in erectile dysfunction in otherwise healthy young American men, and porn is the most likely culprit of that. Also, a lot of people are finding it difficult to sustain and stay in real-life relationships. So there is a burgeoning community online called NoFap, where a lot of men now are swearing off porn and masturbation completely in an effort to reboot their real-life interactions with women.
It's really fascinating. So what do experts say is the solution? Because obviously porn isn't going away. Kids go to the internet all the time. There's no way to sort of get them off of the internet. That's a reality.
Right. The issue is that if we know that teens are going to end up mimicking what they watch, then we either need to expose them to videos with a healthier narrative, or we need to give them a critical lens through which they can view the videos that they're watching. So there's new types of porn emerging, more realistic porn. There's something called feminist porn, which is an alternative to the often very misogynistic porn that you see on these mainstream sites, which is from a male fantasy place. That does often include communication about consent and condom use and things like that. And then there are progressive educators throughout the country that are trying to create curricula that give teens this critical lens through which they can view it. They can teach them about, you may be watching this. We visited in a documentary a program in Boston South End called Start Strong. It's a 5-week course where teens are taught porn literacy, and they're not anti-porn or pro-porn. They just come at it from the understanding that in 2019 it's probably unrealistic to expect that kids are not going to see porn at all, because it's it's in their smartphones, it's in the palm of their hand anywhere they go. It's like 1/3 of the internet at this point.
Right.
So instead of trying to wish that our kids could live in a porn-free world, it's probably better to just give them the tools and teach them the messaging that's coming through it, so they know what's real and what isn't.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Really
Christina,
fascinating.
thank you very much.
Thanks. Christina.
CBSN Originals are stories that you thought you knew. The latest episode, Porn, is premiering Sunday at 8 p.m. on CBSN, and you can also stream it right now at cbsnews.com/porn.